What's good, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Stefan, and tonight I'm going to be talking and celebrating the 36th anniversary of one of the most amazing, greatest, trailblazing, and historic landmark albums ever made by Miss Janet Jackson. This classic definitely solidified her legendary status as one of the most phenomenal, influential, and greatest multi-talented artists / performers ever. So sit back and enjoy yourself on this ride with me as I take you on another journey through the video. Please don't forget to like, share, and comment on the video, and subscribe to my channel. Also, don't forget to turn on your notification for new videos whenever I drop one. So here we go. 36 years ago, on February 4th, 1986, Janet Jackson, who was 19 at the time, released a life-changing album that changed the course of her career in pop music. This album signified a large shift for an artist who grew up overshadowed by her talented brothers, the Jackson 5, and her older brother, Michael. Control took over radio, inventing the playbook for black artists crossing over into pop and ushering a new sound for R&B. For more than a decade, Janet released hit after hit and a number one album after number one album alongside her production and writing partners Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. Her influence is still evident through pop music. It started the way stars choreography her, their videos, their vocals, their visual presentary, the very ways in which they navigated celebrity. But today she's rarely considered at the level of her musical peers from the 80s and 90s, such as Prince, Madonna, and her brother Michael. By the time she began working on her third album, Janet was starting to chart out her own path. She had annulled her marriage to singer James DeBarge, severing her business affair from her father and business manager Joseph Jackson and the rest of the Jackson family, and going to Minneapolis to record with music producers James Jimmy Jam Harris the third and Terry Lewis. On Control, Jam and Lewis wanted to write songs that drew from her own experience. Best known as a television actress, she was initially reluctant to begin a music career. She said, "I was coming off a TV show that I absolutely hate doing, which was Fame. I didn't want to do the first album, which was Janet Jackson. I wanted to go to college, but I did it for my father." After arranging a record contract with AM Records in 1982 for then 16-year-old Janet, in the early days of her career, she sought to expand her reach with a starring role on a popular TV show, Fame, but it wasn't all bright lights and cameras that came true for her. "I didn't want to be on Fame. I didn't want to do the show," she said frankly. The kids were great. I just didn't want to do that. I did it for my father. After 2 unsuccessful albums with her self-titled debut in 1982, the same year where her brother Michael released his earth-shattering, groundbreaking, and greatest-selling musical blockbuster Thriller album, and her sophomore album Dream Street in 1984. After the release of her second album Dream Street in 1984, she struggled to break free from the professional and personal control of her father. She felt like that she has been forced into a reckoning career against her wishes. She married and soon divorced James DeBarge of the R&B group DeBarge. She severed her business affair from her father and manager Joseph and the rest of the Jackson family in order to find her own voice. Trading Joseph Jackson for John McClain as her manager, he introduced her to the legendary songwriting / producing duo Jimmy Jam Harris III and Terry Lewis, former Prince associates and ex-members of the time. When Jam and Lewis agreed to produce Jackson's third studio album, they wanted to appeal primarily to the African American community in addition to achieving crossover success to the pop music charts. In an interview with Rolling Stone magazine, Jimmy Jam said, "We wanted to do an album that will be in every black home in America. We was going for the black album of all times." Although Joseph Jackson initially demanded that his daughter's new album be recorded in Los Angeles so he could keep an eye out for her, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis refused. They required the whole production of the album to be done at their studio in Minneapolis, Minnesota, far away from the glitters and the distractions of Hollywood and the interference of managers / fathers. Jimmy Jam said, "We required that they put her in our hands. We had to do it on our turf, with no bodyguards, no star trips, none of the Joe Jackson's people hanging around making suggestions." Control was recorded as Flytime Studios, the site for Flytime Records, founded by Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis in Minneapolis. When they first started working with Janet, they spent the first week simply getting to know their new client. Terry Lewis explained, "We got into her head, we saw what she was capable of, what she wanted to say, what she wanted to be, where she wanted to be. We put some songs together to fit her as we saw her as she revealed herself to us." It was simple as that. Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis were the primary instrumentalists for the recording, including percussion, piano, drums, and also provided background vocals. Janet accompanied Jam and Lewis on keyboard and took part of composing the arrangements. This songwriting and producing duo took a much different approach to working with the 19-year-old artist. Nobody asked her to write. Nobody asked her what she wanted to sing about. Says producer Jimmy Jam. They just gave us songs, and we were like, you need to be part of the process here. And that's how the Control record started, and obviously ended up being a very polemical record in all our careers. On February 4th, 1986, Control was released, and the album was shot to #1 on the Billboard 200, and it was certified 5 times platinum and sold over 10 million copies worldwide. The album spawned 5 top 5 singles, which was What Have You Done For Me Lately, Nasty, When I Think of You, Control, and Let's Wait a While, and a top 15 hit, The Pleasure Principle. When I Think of You became her first #1 hit on a Hot 100. 7 of the 9 songs produced for Control were released as singles. 5 of those songs were top 5 hits on the Billboard 100 chart. Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis, and Janet Jackson created a new sound. And along with the new sound came groundbreaking records, videos that dominated MTV. Along a career that was forever changing. Working with Janet Jackson was LA Laker cheerleader and choreographer Paula Abdul, who worked with 3 of Janet Jackson's videos. She went on to have a recording career in her own right, but working with Janet Jackson changed everything for her. I was able to create a tremendous amount of stuff for her, and turn the 2 of us together. Recall Abdul, her career exploded, and it opened up a huge door for me in choreography because of Janet Jackson videos were shown a snowball effect, and all these videos kept coming. With the release of Control, Janet Jackson broke her brother's record for longest continuous run of singles from one album to stay on Billboard's Hot 100 chart when her songs lived on a chart for 65 weeks continuously, eventually selling over 10 million copies. The message behind the songs and lyrics were full of meaning, like "What Have You Done For Me Lately" was originally penned for one of Jam and Lewis' own records, but the lyrics were rewritten to re-evoke her feelings about her recent divorce from James DeBarge in January 1985. It revolves around a woman's frustration with her partner in a relationship. Now, Control, that was about finding your own voice and path and not letting no one stop you. Now, Nasty was one of the prime examples that inspired the new Jack sound swing sound, mixing funk with R&B, addition to a triplet swing beat. The song lyrics recounted her encounter with sexual harassment. This was inspired by her experience with street harassment in Minneapolis by a group of men outside the hotel where she resided at during the recording of Control. She recalled they were emotionally abusive, sexually threatened. Instead of running for Jimmy or Terry for protection, I took a stand. I backed them down. And that's how songs like Nasty and What Have You Done For Me Lately were born, out of a sense of Self-Defense. The single peaked at number 3 on U.S. Billboard Hot 100 and number 1 on the Hot R&B and Hip Hop Song charts, and it remains one of Janet's signature songs. The line, "My first name ain't Baby, it's Janet, Miss Jackson if you're nasty," has been used in pop culture and votes in varied forms. Let's Wait a While was inspired by conversations Melody Andrews had with her childhood boyfriend, just young teenagers at the time. Through the conversation, she was inspired to write the lyrics. The lyrics discuss sexual abstinence and posing sexual intimacy within the relationship until the time was right. It centered around safe sex and abstinence. It was a subject of social commentary at the time. Jam commented it was common to practice songwriting for current events as a meaningful inspiration for lyrics that the AIDS pandemic has raised awareness about sexual transmitted diseases. As the album's sixth single, The Pleasure Principle, is a independent woman anthem about love gone wrong, built around a dance beat. The photo for the single was shot by fashion photographer David LaChapelle. Control was considered one of the definite albums of the 80s. It helped lay the foundation for the popularity of R&B hip hop sound known as New Jack Swing, the movement led by Teddy Riley. The album also used as a blueprint for many of the female pop stars who emulate Janet's style. She also influenced in helping black artists receive more regular airplay on MTV with her groundbreaking choreographer and videos for Nasty and The Pleasure Principle, which won MTV Music Awards. The album landed Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis a Grammy for Producer of the Year non-classical in 1987, and Janet won multiple American Music Awards and Soul Train Music Awards. Although the Jackson family musical legacy has given her an opportunity to tap into the international audience, Control was the turning point which her career took off and she became a bona fide superstar. Control showcased Janet as a person who was firmly and finally in control of her own life. Control is regarded as one of the most influential albums of rhythm and blues, and the first album to bridge the gap between R&B and rap music. Its success in the mainstream R&B and pop music charts has finally led to the incorporation of many stylistic traits of rap over the few next years. And Janet Jackson continued to be one of those leaders in the development. 1986 was a stellar year for the black female vocalist, the best, in fact, since the disco decade. A decade back, black music crossed over to the pop charts in dramatic fashion with Whitney Houston, Patti LaBelle, and Janet Jackson each have been #1 albums. Thank you for enjoying the video. Please don't forget to like, share, comment on the video, and also don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and don't forget to turn on your notification for new videos whenever I drop one. Have a good night. Have a safe night. Stay safe and blessed. Peace.